Good evening, good evening, St. Luke. Good evening, other family members. Good evening, other churches and members of other places who listen to this broadcast and who participate with us. Thank you so very much. I know that we're getting into the Advent season. You're preparing for Christmas, and I just want to share just a few things with you today. Not going to spend much time, about 11 to 12 minutes, just giving you some information there regarding today's Sunday school lesson and just a few announcements regarding the St. Luke Church and the Shreveport District. Of course, you all are very aware of our giving methods, and I thank God for those of you who are excellent and you have been steadfast in your giving. I appreciate that so much. Please continue to do that. Our district Sunday school lesson every Sunday morning. If you are missing this, you are missing a treat. Please make sure that you tune in and participate with the Sunday school lesson. The ID, passcode, and numbers there, they have not changed. They're still the same. Please make sure that you begin to participate. And if you are participating already, continue to grow and to continue to learn. I believe tomorrow the teaching will be done by the New Hill Church. Thank God for them. Listen, most of us, I'm sure by now, have taken the vaccine, and now perhaps it's time for us to take the booster shot. There was a pop-up clinic today out at Williams Memorial. I did not announce it on last week, but there will be another coming up. It's free. It's free. Take your booster shot, because even with the new variant, it is saying that those people who are vaccinated, very few symptoms, and certainly no one has been hospitalized who has been vaccinated. So the vaccine has and is making a difference there. Of course, we're in the season of Advent. It is the season of hope and the season of expectation. The in-person worship, virtual worship, every Sunday here at 10:45 a.m. And as I've continued to say on the broadcast, I want to see more of you inside the building. Let's start getting ourselves back in the habit of coming to the Lord's house on Sunday. We're here for 1 hour. I think last Sunday we were here for less than an hour. So if you're here at 10:45 and ready to go, I'm ready. The band is ready. The singers, everybody is ready to go at 10:45. And by 11:45, we're waving at each other, telling each other, God bless you. We'll see you again on next Sunday. I want to show you this announcement here as well. There, which is, I believe this will be taking place tomorrow. It is the annual candlelight service, the annual candlelight service there for the Shreveport District Missionary Societies at 3 o'clock via Zoom. And let me go ahead and get to you this is a copy of the program itself. And let me see here. Let me get here for my, I don't have the Zoom information there, but I'll have to put that on the broadcast. And it's not, I don't see it. I thought I had it. That's why I pulled it up. But I will let you guys know there what it is as well. I'll let you guys know that. Let me get back to our lesson there. I wanted just to make sure that we got a chance to see that there as well. Birthdays. Tim Emery, Diane Emery, Tiara Taylor, Brittany Hill, Miss Broussard, God bless you. Von Cedar, God bless you there. Romedro Strickland, Roshan Johnson, Miss Willie Mae Stanmore, whose birthday on the 26th will turn 100 years old. We sent her something there down there in Houston, and make sure that you wish her a happy birthday. We can, if you would like to send something, please make sure that you speak with Tommy Lee Daughtery there so that we can get her address, and you can send it through her to her personally or send it through the church. We just want to share and let her know happy 100th birthday, Miss Willie Mae Stanmore. Also, Miss Patricia Johnson and Deja Smith. Deja, I missed you on last week, but God bless your heart. We want to make sure, because you have been so faithful. You've been so faithful this time while we've been out for the past 2 years. Thank you so very much. All right, let's look at this lesson today. It is called Justice and Kindness. David administers justice and kindness. Now, this is one of those stories that I promise you that if I had not preached this Sunday school lesson within the last year, within the last 6 months, I would preach this Sunday school lesson again. But I don't want people to think, well, Reverend Hudson don't have that many sermons and he has to preach the same sermon over and over. But I love this lesson and I love this message so much that I am so tempted to do it again, but I'm not going to. It is the story that takes place in 2 Samuel chapter 9. It is the story of David showing kindness and giving justice to Mephibosheth. After returning the ark of God to Jerusalem, and as he established himself as king over Israel, David set his enemies in order. He conquered the Philistines. He defeated the Moabites. He sacked the Syrians. He took care of the Edomites and gave Israel land as far as the Euphrates. David was at the height of his power. Still, he remembered his close friend, Jonathan. At the height of his power, he remembered his friend. Oh my God. David and Jonathan had grown to be their closest of friends. And even though Jonathan was Saul's biological heir, he recognized that God's hand was on David to be the next ruler in spite of his father. Jonathan even stopped his father Saul from taking David's life. Jonathan had been fully devoted to David, and David was fully devoted to Jonathan in return, and this devotion continued even after Jonathan had died. The story of David and Mephibosheth is a story about kindness, restoration, and justice. However, at its very core, it is about relationship. That's why you ought to have good relationships with as many people as you can and don't burn bridges. David had a very close friendship with Jonathan. Years after Jonathan's death, in other words, this friendship went beyond the grave. David was still devoted to him. And even when he heard about Mephibosheth, David restored Saul's family estate. And in addition, David told Mephibosheth and gave him a place at his own table. Instead of passing his days in Lodabar, he ate at the table. I'm going to talk about Lodabar in a minute. As if he were David's own son. We can show God's kindness and justice to the whole world around us. David's kindness to Mephibosheth was rooted in relationship. We should demonstrate kindness and justice to everybody around us. Yes, we should. And bring them into right relationship with us and pointing them toward right relationship with God. Let me go ahead and read this right here. David said, verse 1, is there anybody left of the house of Saul? Saul who threw a javelin at my head. Saul who hated me in spite of all I had done. He said, is there anyone that I may show kindness to him for Jonathan's sake? That's a sermon right there. You know what? Aren't you glad? And maybe you're not even aware that there's somebody who wants to show kindness to you for the sake of somebody else. He asked that question. Is there anybody I could bless? Is there anybody I can bless? Is there anybody I can help and assist? And there was of the house of Saul still a servant whose name was Ziba. And when they had called him unto David, the king said to him, are you Ziba? And he said, yes, I am him. And the king said, is there not yet anybody of the lineage of the family of Saul that I may show kindness of God unto him? David may have had, that's why David was a man after God's own heart, because what did he want to do? What did he seek to do? He said, I want to show kindness to anybody that's left. I want to show kindness to anybody of that house and of that family for my relationship with my brother. Oh my God. And the king said, is there not yet anybody? Ziba said, well, Jonathan still has a son, but he's lame on his feet. He threw that in parenthetically. He said, yeah, he still has a son, but he's lame on his feet. And the king said unto him, where is he? And Ziba said unto him, he is in the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, in a place called Lodabar. You see, Lodabar, well, let's talk about his lameness. How did he get lame? Well, in 2 Samuel 4, when the word came out that Jonathan and Saul had been killed in battle, his nurse picked him up, grabbed him, took off running, and in her haste, she dropped it. They didn't have the type of medical services that probably could have corrected his legs in that time. But it said, and she dropped him, and he became a crippled man. There's so much richness right there. You know what? Sometimes we can be harmed and hurt by somebody else's haste. And I'm not going to say the nurse was careless, but she tried to protect him, and she grabbed him, took off running, but she dropped the child. And now he is lame. Oh, there's so much right there. I could preach right there. And not only is he lame, but he's in a place called Lodabar. Lodabar is referred to as a place of no pasture, of no green grass, no prosperity, a sad place, a wretched place. Then King David sent and fetched him out of the house of Machir, from Lodabar, out of Lodabar. Now when Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, the son of Jonathan, came to David, he fell on his face and did show reverence to David. And David said, Mephibosheth, and he said, behold thy servant. And David said unto him, fear not, for I will surely show thee kindness for Jonathan thy father's sake. And I'm going to restore you all the land. Watch this, the land of Saul thy father. And thou shalt eat bread at my table continually. Anytime there's food on my table, there's food on yours, because my table has become your table. Oh my God. He bowed himself and said, what is thy servant that thou shouldest look upon such a dead dog as I am? You see, in those ancient times, to refer to someone as a dog, and then to refer to oneself as a dog, was the chiefest of all insults. Here he is, the son, the grandson of a king, but he refers to himself as a dog. His self-esteem is gone. His self-worth is gone. But look at here. What he didn't know was that the king was looking for him. Then the king called to Ziba, Saul's servant, and said unto him, I have given unto thy master's son all that pertained to Saul and all his house. Therefore, you and your sons and thy servants shall work for him. You shall bring in the fruit, that thy master's son may have food to eat. But Mephibosheth, thy master's son, shall eat at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then said Ziba unto the king, according to all that my lord the king hath commanded his servant, so shall thy servant do. As for Mephibosheth, said the king, he shall eat at my table as one of the king's sons. And Mephibosheth had a young son whose name was Micah, and all that dwelt in the house of Ziba were servants unto Mephibosheth. The next verse said this, says, and Mephibosheth ate at the king's table, and he was lame in both feet. Oh, I love that text so much. I love that text. There's so much in there. Aren't you glad that maybe you're being blessed by somebody else's goodness and somebody else's friendship? David does not have to bless anybody, but he chooses to show kindness and he chooses to show justice. Let me give you a few lessons from David. The power of godly friendship. Jonathan and David's friendship did not end at the grave. It continued because it was a godly, the presence of God's redemption. David, God's power shared with David this presence of mind to seek out who you can redeem from a bad place. He went from a place, watch this, where no grass grew to being able to eat at the king's table. The presence of God's redemption. The possibilities of grace. Oh, aren't you glad that grace has possibilities? He had given up on himself. Mephibosheth had. He had given up on himself. He had given up ever being successful. He called himself a dog. But aren't you glad there are still possibilities of God's grace where sin, evil abound, grace abounds even more. The pain of being forgotten. Mephibosheth had to deal with a life knowing that he was the king's grandson. He was a prince's son, but he thought he had been forgotten in a place called Lodabar. Oh my God. But then the permanence of God's faithfulness. I feel like preaching right about now. God's faithfulness is permanent and it does not end and it does not stop. My God, I sure want to preach this tomorrow, but I'm going to preach this sermon right here. Matthew is close to Christmas, so I'm going to go ahead and preach this. It says in Matthew chapter 1, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which translated means God with us. And I want to talk about that tomorrow. And I want you to tune in. Those of you who can't do the broadcast live, I want you to tune in after your worship service. Go back to my Facebook, go back to our YouTube channel, and I want you to hear me talk about God is with us. God bless you. Thank you all so very much. Thank you. And I know that God is going to bless you in this Christmas season because he is with us. God bless you.